Good morning, David Christian, the founder of Evoware. Okay, thank you anyway for the opportunity given to me to interview you, actually to learn more about you and your company innovation. This interview would be part of my class assignment at ITB MBA program and would be part of the global learning initiative called M2 Flourish. Have you heard about it?
I heard about Active before, but don't really know about it in detail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just the background, M2 Flourish is actually a United Nations supported global learning initiative where students like me all over the world explore and discover the positive business innovation so that it can be shared and it can be used as a best practice for others. Okay, so I know your work at Evoware from media, and the first time I hear about the innovation about the edible food packaging, I think that is the very innovative idea, and actually I'm interested in to know how did the original idea come about? Means what led you come up with the idea in the first place?
Yeah, in the first place, basically we have two products, right?
Yep.
And then the first idea of the product is basically because of my concerns of the environments. After I go back to Indonesia, after my 4-year study in Vancouver, Canada, you know that during those 4 years, I never go back to Indonesia. Then just already get used to the environments, which is it's clean and fresh and everything, right? Yeah. So after 4 years, I go back to Jakarta, and then as soon as I get off the plane, it's literally hit me because of the pollutions, right? Just then I couldn't breathe, and then in the street and in the river, I saw that a lot of garbage, and especially plastic garbage, right? Then I did little research about the plastics. Then I found out that plastic is actually contaminating everything: the air, the lands, the water, even our drinkable water, and even our food is already contaminated by plastics, right? And the last study said that 76% of the water in Indonesia, in Jakarta, is contaminated by microplastics, and more than 25% of the seafood is contaminated by microplastic also. Then I realized that hey, this is a big problem, right? But why the people in Indonesia really care about the environment? I think not because they don't care about the environment, but I think it's because it's a heavy issue, and then we bring it in the heavy way, and that's where people they don't know because they don't want to listen, because it's very heavy issue and bring it in a heavy way, and they don't really care about it because they don't want to listen. It's too boring, right? And then at that time I was thinking that how can we educate people in a different way, in the fun way, but we have to. That's where we have to make product which is different and never been done before, especially in Indonesia, because we want to educate people in Indonesia, right? So that's the idea. That's why we make our first product, which is edible cups. So you can eat the cups. You use it for a party instead of using plastic cups. You can use edible cups, and then your party will be more fun, right? Of course, and then won't harm the environment, right? So basically, the idea is it's a food wrapped as a cup. But few months after we launched the cups, and then we also think that education alone is not enough. Then we have to create real solutions for the plastics, right? And then we see that there is a lot of most of the plastic, which is 70% of the plastic, single-use plastic, is coming from food and beverages. And usually it's a small sachet packaging, cannot be recycled because it's too small and have so many layers, right? And doesn't have any value, because if you want to recycle it, you have to separate it one by one, and taking a lot of times, right? And then therefore after that, I met my second partners. Her name is Nori, and then she's been developing this edible packaging from seaweed since 2010 actually. And then after that, we met, and then we see that we have the same visions, which is actually to create solutions for plastics waste, and then also to empower seaweed farmers. So after that, like we joined together, and then last year on October 2017, we launched the seaweed-based packaging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so as an addition from your first portfolio product for
Yeah.
edible cup.
Yeah, the cups is basically more into like education.
Okay.
So we bring awareness, especially we want to educate children. It's easier that way because the cup is like a jelly cup,
Okay.
but it's made of like seaweed,
Seaweed.
right? And then also that we see a problem in the seaweed farmers in Indonesia. Indonesia is one of the largest seaweed producers in the world, but 80% of our seaweed is exported to other countries, which make the seaweed farmers very poor because a lot of middlemen, right? And then a lot of like oversupply of seaweeds. So that's why like we're working very closely with seaweed farmers in Makassar,
Okay.
and then we can increase their income by 170% now.
Yeah. So in the beginning, when you starting up the Evoware business, what is your motivation or your purpose that you want to achieve at the time?
Yeah, at the time, like first from the environment, like we want to raise awareness and then also create solutions for the environment, right? But also like when I go back to Indonesia, I'm thinking that I want to create a business that can benefit others, which is from the social perspective.
Yeah.
So that's why that's our value always about the environment and the social. So everything we do, everything what we make the products and every decision that we make is gonna be doing those two values, right? Which is like environment and then also social.
Okay. So okay, so we all know that the other ventures out there have proposing the similarities of edible food packaging instead of plastic. So what makes your idea of what you propose or your offer in the Evoware product is unique compared with others?
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really seen like packaging, like edible packaging.
Okay.
Like maybe like there is one people thought that is edible, but I don't think it's edible. Yeah, just to show that it's safe, like for marine, for the marine animals to give the like bioplastics, right?
Okay.
But like our product is really like edibles, and then also like the main purpose is, I think for like what's differentiate is basically we are focusing to replace the single-use small sachet packaging, right? And then like we don't do plastic bags, and then like we don't do like straw or something like that. But maybe in the future, yes. But right now, like we are focusing to replace the single-use small sachet packaging. And then also what's differentiate, I think, because like I don't know what those products made of, but our product is made of seaweed, right? Which is we don't use land, so there is no deforestation for sure. Because if we use like plantation in the land, like we don't know if it's gonna be like palm oils again or not. Can be like solutions, but if it's like mass, it's gonna be like another problems, right? And then also the fact that 70% of our ocean is 70% of the oxygen is coming from the oceans, right? So by planting more seaweed, because seaweed is absorbing carbons and release oxygens, so it's the more we plant seaweed, the better it is, right? So by empowering the seaweed farmers, and then like we always teach the seaweed farmers to get the highest quality of the seaweed. So indirectly we encourage them to clean the oceans, because if the ocean is dirty, they won't get the highest quality seaweed, and then we won't pay them more, right? So by doing that, like we can maintain the ecosystems of the oceans, also the cleanliness of the oceans, and also like seaweed is actually can be food, natural food, and then also houses for the fishes. So if the coral is broken, that we plant seaweed, the fishes can live there, and then also by doing that, this means that the coral reef can be like maintained again. That one, and then like so many benefits of seaweed, because seaweed is very nutritious, right?
Mm.
So when we say it's edibles, it means that we need to treat it as food, right? So like that's when you want to use it as edibles, you should use it for. We are replacing the inner packaging.
Mm.
Yeah, for the outer packaging, you don't have to eat it, right? But you can throw it away, because if you throw it away, it will become plant fertilizers also.
Okay.
Yeah, because seaweed is very nutritious, and seaweed been used for the fertilizers also,
Okay.
and then for the like healthy food also. Yeah,
Okay. And it is biodegradable.
it's biodegradable, it's compostable, it's marine degradable,
Okay.
it's edible.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that you got the seaweed sourced from farmers from the Makassar. Can you explain more about how does the Evoware business works in terms of the business model, starting from the source and your preferred distribution channel and your targeted customer?
Yeah. So right now, like we're working very closely with the seaweed farmers through cooperatives.
Okay.
So we're working with the cooperatives in Makassar. So the cooperatives is the one who teach the farmers, and then like we make a program together with the cooperatives, and then like they're the one who teaching the farmers, and then they do microfinance workshops also to the farmers, because when the income is increased, doesn't mean their livelihood can be increased, right? If they cannot manage their money wisely,
Yeah.
right? So we do that, and then we take the seaweed from these cooperatives, and then after that we ship it to Jakarta, and then we from the seaweed we produce it directly without using any chemical process
Okay.
into the packaging, right? So from there we have like the cups more into like raising awareness and education, as I said earlier, so that like people gonna be more aware, and then like right now like we are selling this, everything is online. We have Instagram, we have website, we have Facebook, and then we made a video which is it's gone viral,
Yeah.
like in Facebook, and then like a lot of like media like cover us. So but our productions is still very small right now on the current productions. So what we do, we basically sell the samples to the companies, and then because first is not because of our production capacity is still very small, but it's because more into this is new products, and we still have some barriers from the packaging, right? Which is the moisture barrier is not really good, but the oxygen barrier is better than metallized one. So we don't really know if we use it in any various different kind of products, right? Especially food products need to be tested first.
Yeah.
So we want people to get the products first to be tested first. So we already sent to over 100 companies all over the world, and then they testing the products right now. So and then after they done the testing, they can pre-orders, because right now we are installing machines so that we can move to a bigger scale from there. Yeah. So from that pre-orders, and then we are scaling up the productions, and then maybe in 2 months, or 3, we can ready for filling up the pre-orders
Okay.
with that. Yeah. So yeah. So that's
Okay. So currently, how many products is already in your portfolio or the pipeline for that will be launched or will be targeted, will be there in the next 2 months or in this year? Then how many
yeah.
products that is-
You mean like what kind of like how many products
Yep.
we're gonna use for our packaging?
Means in terms of the product for the Evoware that are going to be offered to the market later on on your portfolio catalog
Yeah, right now like we're only focusing on the cups and the packagings.
for
Yeah.
cup and packaging.
Cup and packaging, which is like the cups is like we're selling it like B2C. We can sell it like to end customers,
Okay.
but also we're selling it like to businesses, like we're working together with event organizers, wedding organizers for parties,
Okay.
and then also we going to the restaurants, cafes, restaurants, businesses,
Okay.
so they can make their own cups.
Yeah. And the packaging is not only the food packaging.
Yeah, the packaging not only for food packaging, but the packaging is like business to business,
Okay.
and then because like gonna wrap like this for the packaging for the products, right?
Yeah.
Which is like usually businesses who has it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think any individuals.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean to for only food, non-food products. Like we have also companies who wanna use it for jewelry, for soap,
So
and any kind of like sanitary napkins and non-food products. But a lot of them is food products.
okay, okay. So earlier you mentioned about your vision of when you starting up the Evoware, but in terms of the mission, what are the mission of the Evoware business itself?
Yeah, the mission is like of course like we want to replace the plastics, especially single-use plastics packaging, and then also we want to educate, right? That's where like we make a programs like to educate children in schools also, and then of course also like to increase the livelihood of the seaweed farmers in Indonesia.
So how does this innovation actually create the real benefit to the society? Means to the seaweed farmers in Makassar, or after some time, if we were running the business with the seaweed farmers there, what is the real benefit that you already think that okay, this impact is already occurred on their livelihood or their well-being or something like that? Any kind of that you can.
Yeah, I think what we see is more into like the futures, right? Like a long terms, like long term vision, long term impact, right? First, from the educations that we want to do itself is more we are focusing more into the children's. So the impact is gonna be like another like 20 years maybe.
Okay, long term.
15, 20 years, when the children already grow up, they already realize about it, then they can do better than us, right? In terms of protecting the earth, right? And then for the solutions for the packagings, I think that one in Indonesia, I think that can be impactful when people and governments, especially, they realize about it and then they're supporting us, right?
Okay.
But that can make like immediate impact if companies, big companies, especially, or like a lot of businesses, small businesses, but a lot can change their packagings.
Yeah.
Instead of using those plastic packaging, they can use our packaging, right? And that's gonna impact the oceans for sure, because no trash is thrown to the oceans, and that's gonna impact the landfills because no trash gonna end up in the landfill also, right? And then if that can reduce the productions of plastics, it means the carbon dioxide also, right? Because every kilogram that plastic makes is actually made like 6 kilograms of carbon dioxide, right? So that's the impact, and then also the impact on the seaweed farmers. Right now, because like we're still small, so I think that like we do give impacts to some farmers, but not a lot. And then I think this is gonna be like long term also. Once we go big, then we can see the impacts more for the seaweed farmers, because usually like the seaweed farmers like they ask the children to help them to plant seaweeds in the daytimes, which is then the children is gonna go to school, right? So we're making a system so that like we teach the farmers to clean the seaweed before it's being processed into our manufacture. So by doing that, we can increase their incomes a lot, right? And then like the children that doesn't need to help the like the parents anymore to plant the seaweeds, because then like their income already increase, and then also if they want to help the parents, they can help them at homes by cleaning the seaweeds in the evening, so they can go to school from there. So So that's gonna be like the impact. Right now we are trying to measure the impacts. Okay, like this is the seaweed farmers right now, and then like in the next like 5 years, like we can see what's the difference after they supply the seaweed to everywhere.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you mentioned earlier the impact to the environment. So do you measure as well the environment impact, means reducing how many percentage of the plastic?
Yeah, yeah. Like we can measure that by our productions and then by ourselves, right? Because okay, like for example, like we sell like 100,000 tons of plastics. Like we are selling 100,000 tons of our packaging, which means that we are replacing those 100,000 tons of conventional plastics, which is going to be harmful for the environment. Right? We can like calculate it by that also.
So, okay, so you mentioned you explained about the impact to the society, to environment. How about the impact of this innovation to the business food packaging itself? There will be some, I don't know, disruption to them, or this will be aligned with them, or you think this is impact of business packaging,
like the conventional
packaging, the plastic one?
Yeah, it might impact them for sure, right? Because then like the business is shift to more sustainable packaging, right? But I think that's the right way to do, because when we see also from the other perspective, which is like, by using this kind of packaging, the waste management, right, is also like very like impacted, and then like the money that's spent to do the waste management at the like end level, I think that's big, like very big, right? So I think yeah, that's of course like it will impact other like conventional packaging business. Yeah, but it's a business. It's normal if there is like competitions, right? We just need to always like innovate, and then like the most important thing I think like to do fair business, make, you know, I think that's the most important thing. And then like for me, business is not only about like making money, right?
Yeah.
But how can we like have a positive impact to the society? If your business doesn't give positive impact to the society, I don't think it's gonna last long, especially in this era right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So you need to innovate, make your packaging business more sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So then, what is your expectation for the Evoware in the future? Means for any kind of things like you expect government support, you expect production level, or you expect anything. What's your general expectation for this business in the future?
Yeah, of course. I think like from the production skills, like we can do that, right? I mean, like we need support for sure from the private sectors, communities, NGOs, and especially governments. We need support too from all over the place, right? From all aspects. And then, but government's role is gonna be like very gonna have a big impact, I think, for the business, because like right now, like in the other countries all over the world, they already have like Paris agreements, already have SDGs, which is they already realize the negative impacts of the conventional plastics, right? And this is already like very urgent and very devastating. And then like the governments from like other countries, especially like in the Europe, especially like in the Europe, right? And then like they already put tax on the conventional plastics, and that tax is actually can reduce the use of the conventional plastics. And I think it's not about reducing the conventional plastics. I think it's about like reducing the waste. If you use conventional plastics, but we can also recycle it in a good way, then that can be good also. But if you don't recycle it, it's gonna end up in the landfill, or it's gonna end up in the oceans, which is gonna be destroying the environments, right? And then and that money to clean up everything's like clean up the waste, clean up the mess is a lot of money, and the government spend a lot of money on that, right? Which is like if we compare it like to buying like the product like more expensive products, I think they're still like much more cheaper than put money to do waste, like to clean up the waste and everything like in the oceans and in the landfills and everything because it's like everywhere.
Yeah. When did you start the business Evoware?
We started in 2016.
2016.
Yeah, April.
April 2016. And the original idea came.
It was on 2015, like
2015.
end of 2015.
End of 2015.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, what are the challenges that you facing during 2016 until now, or maybe you're expecting other challenges later on?
Yeah, the challenges, we have a lot of challenges for sure because we are new products. Especially like the packaging, like we already have the patent, it's already patented and it's already granted.
Yep.
There is a pros and cons of the new inventions, right? Always like because but the benefit, yeah, like no one done it before, and then we are the only companies who's doing it in the world. But it's also a challenge also because then we need to educate the markets, we need to educate the people about our products, right? Because not everyone know about our products, and then they have like a lot of questions. They have a lot of questions, and sometimes it's a skeptical questions because because they don't get used to it yet, right? So we need to educate them. Educations is the most difficult things, I think, because like for example, we say it's edible packaging. Right? We really explains that we want to if it's edible, use it for inner packaging, right? Because we want to replace those inner packaging. For example, the instant noodle sachet, like instant noodle seasoning. You don't need to open it; just put it directly into the, just cook it directly, and then like it will dissolve, right? And then it will have a nutrition benefit to the instant noodle at least, right?
Yeah.
And then let's give a lot of benefits, right? But people are still like, why do I need to eat the packaging? It's gross. Hey, you don't need to eat it. You can if it's like other packaging, just throw it away. We just want to show that it is very safe, even for humans. It's very nutritious. But for the environment, it's gonna be like more benefit, right? Like those kind of things. And then also challenges for the productions because it's a new technology, right? So we need, in terms of the machinery and everything, so we need to make it our own, right? The machine is there is no machines like that in the market right now, right? So we need to make it our own. Also, that one. So I think those two, and then also of course, this is especially in Indonesia. The issue is not. I think the issue is already there, but just like the support from the government, especially, is not that it's not there yet. And then like we need like to do it from the private sectors like ourselves, and then but it's been very fortunate that we get a lot of supports from the NGOs and communities, and then some supports also.
Especially the one that I know, the culture in Indonesia is everything is measured by price.
Yeah,
so
true.
The cheaper, the better for them. So how do you?
Yeah, that's part of the educations also that people only think about like one side. They only think about I buy it right about now. I buy it right now. It's cheaper, so they choose that, but they don't see like the futures. There's gonna be like the waste that end up in the environments and then harming the environments. As I said earlier, the governments will spend a lot of more, much more money than like those that one. So when we compare into that, and then we see that it's also our tax money. So they use our tax money for cleaning the environments, but we can prevent that, by using like more sustainable products, right? But people don't really think about it. They don't really think further. They only think like about the like very short term thinkings. I think we need to educate them to do critical thinkings and then long term thinking also.
Okay. So, how many employees do you have in the company right now?
Right now, employee or the whole teams, like
The whole team,
yeah, the whole teams including me. I think we have about like 17.
17. Okay.
Yeah,
You are going to expand
yeah.
the business as well.
Yeah, we're going to expand this.
Okay, so the last word maybe, how do you expect the support from others, means the support from the government, or do you want support from our regulatory, or you want another support from the community? What support do you expect to expand actually in terms of educate the people, in terms of the so they know the long term effect of having the plastic things and something like that. So how do you expect the support from others?
Yeah, I think like the support, like can be as simple as sharing the story, and then sharing basically the effects like the of the like conventional like plastics, right, which is like harmful, and then also we can do collaborations, like we are very open for any collaborations. So like we make an events and then raising awareness, like we do a lot of collaborations with so many parties, and then also that will be very nice if we can get like support from the governments. Actually like we already meet like governments, but we don't really see the support yet. But that can be very nice about like the regulations. I think we have to do it like sooner or later. We have to do it anyways about the regulations, because this is already very big issue, and then yeah, the governments have to do it because it's already affect things like a lot of things. Environments is coming to us again, it's coming to us again as a human. Yeah, so for sure the regulations, but the sooner the better.
Okay, okay. So that's all actually my list of the question. So once again, thank you very much for the opportunity, and which actually enlightened me a lot about the business that can be socially responsible and environmentally friendly, like the Evoware did.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.